Hi, Melissa Bill, and welcome to the Business Roundup, where we catch up with the movers and shakers in the business world. Today, joining me is Wendy Lipton-Dibner. She's an organizational impact strategist and the author of What Matters Matters Most. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you.
Yeah, and companies today, I think they face many challenges from implementing like the right technology to just trying to streamline their operations. There's just a lot of pressure, I think. Before we kind of get into the meat of things, do you want to talk a little bit about your background and how you kind of got started?
Sure, of course. So I had a very unusual beginning. I wanted to be in Broadway. I wanted to be Barbara Streisand, actually. But my family said, no, you've got to keep going. So they made me a bet. They said, if you apply to all the grad schools and nobody accepts you, then we'll pay for you to go to Broadway and be Barbara Streisand. And if you get accepted, you have to go. So I applied to like the biggest schools. I was sure nobody would accept me. And Duke called my bluff. So I ended up going to Duke and crying for like the first 6 months. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be singing. But then all of a sudden, I got hooked in research and understanding what makes people do what they do, and ended up doing a lot of publishing and a lot of research, looking at social matters and what was happening. I got recruited out of Duke to conduct a research study that ended up being invited to the Senate to present our results. Long story short, the Senate was awesome. The hearing was amazing. It was the biggest, most exciting experience for like a 20-something-year-old, right? Um, but when it was over, there were two things that happened. One, the Senate created a decision that made it that millions and millions and millions have gotten care where they would not have gotten it before. So that was awesome. But I also realized when they made their decision, all of the questions they asked in the hearing were about money. Everything was about money. What was the cost of treatment? What did the hospitals charge? What were the returns? Everything was financial. And when we got back to the office, I realized not one senator had asked a question about what was it like for the patients that were served in the hospital? What did the patients experience? What was the long-lasting impact? Was there a long-lasting? I realized that had to be done. So I quit my job. I went to a bank and I asked for a loan to build a social laboratory that would be a business to everybody else. And what I wanted to do is prove that businesses could make more money if they focused on impact rather than money. And that banker was way ahead of his time, and he did it. He wrote a big check and off I was. I launched a business where I taught all of my employees that they should really prioritize what do people want, what matters to them, what's important to them, not what products do they want to buy, what services do they want us to deliver. So there were no prices anywhere in the business. We never talked about money with the clients at all. And within the first year, we broke all industry records for money. So we were really excited and we started doing it again the second year and the third year. I finally sold it for 7 figures and moved on because I was sure it was a fluke. And I spent the rest of my career going into over 1,000 organizations, serving them, helping them learn the formulas that we had used, obviously updating year after year after year. And what we found in the end was that every organization that followed the system and measured their impact and was sure that they were paying attention to what happened after people used their products and services, all of those people created enormous increases in revenue. When they first began, in less than 30 days, they were bringing in an average of 200% higher revenue and building it over the next 16, 18 months that we were following it. So all my career has been about going from industry to industry and showing them how they can actually make more money by focusing on impact.
That's amazing. I mean, and that's true. It's almost like kind of like not follow up, but just, what's happening after the fact, like people and like, is this just healthcare or is it different organizations that you've worked with?
That was the first study. Since then, I've been in everything from healthcare to hair care to trucking to tech, all of the different industries. Any any place you go that has a product or a service, the question becomes: you spent all of your time and money building up an audience, a group, a community, buyers, beneficiaries, whatever it is. At the end of the day, the question that most organizations focus on is, did people buy the product? Not did they use it? And most importantly, what happened after they used it? The big question that I invite everyone to look at is this: when a person uses your product or service and receives the planned benefits that you spent so much time and money creating, what happens next? That's the big question. And that's what we're doing now. I've done it all these years in analog, and now we have a tech to be able to just do it without any work. So it's pretty exciting.
Is cool. And now, what are some of the things that you noticed that it comes down to that's like kind of preventing companies from growing? You talked about, some of the things that you look at, but what are some of the big things that are like kind of barriers for companies right now?
Well, at the end of the day, it's about disengagement. It's about how do we keep our employees engaged? How do we keep our customers engaged? How do we create more loyalty internally and externally? And at the end of the day, how to create boundless growth. So it's always the same three things. That hasn't changed in the decades I've been doing this. It's, can we engage the people internally and externally? Can we keep them loyal to us and not run somewhere else? And can we make money?
In the end. And that's something too, like even with the implementation of like more AI, a lot of people are saying, AI can only do so much, but you still need that human touch in the loop.
Absolutely. In fact, Gallup just released a study, I think yesterday, the day before, that a very small percentage, I'm sorry, I don't remember the number, but a small percentage of people trust AI, whether it's companies or whether it's customers. People are excited about it, but they don't trust it.
That, yeah, definitely. And now, what is organizational impact strategy? Like, kind of, can you break it down? Like, how does it propel growth and loyalty? Like, what are some of the things?
Sure. Absolutely. So organizational impact strategy is a system of formulas, 200 plus formulas that people can use to make sure that everything they're doing in their organization is creating a measurable difference for the people they serve and creating impassioned engagement, unrivaled loyalty, and boundless growth. So those formulas, even one formula, can change everything if you apply it correctly.
And now, are there some things as far as I'm trying. I know that you said you worked with healthcare, nonprofits. Are there any kind of examples? You don't have to use their names, but like that you can give us, like on how you kind of help them change their focus and what it led to?
Sure, of course. In sales organizations as well. And one of my favorite examples was 100 years ago. There was a regional office of what used to be Bell, so telecommunications. And what happened was they were losing sales at a time when they shouldn't have been. The economy was fantastic, but they were losing sales like crazy. And so they brought me in to work with their sales professionals to help them make more money. And so we talked about it, and I gave them my formulas for all of the normal things you would expect from a consultant to share with you about how to make more money, right? Except that these formulas were worded in ways that enabled sales professionals to talk with people and get them excited about what mattered most to them. At the end of the day, what happened was we flipped it from what matters most is the sale to what matters most is real world impact. What happens when you use our products, use our services? How does your life change? Typically across multiple life areas.
For that. And now I know you've got something exciting coming up too. It's a patent pending technology that's going to be a game changer. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're real excited about that. So for the last few decades, when I've been working with organizations, sales, healthcare, you name it, at the end of the day, everything was an analog. So to capture and analyze and measure and report results and capitalize on it and maximize on it, that took a lot of time and a lot of people energy, right? But in today's world, it's changed. So I actually released it last month. And what we have released is a done for you technology. It's a SaaS, right? It's a subscription at the end of the day where each organization can just log in and in 5 minutes build tremendous results. It's really extraordinary. It's one of those, oh, come on, really moments. But what this technology is designed to do is to fully engage employees in the fact that they are making a measurable impact with every single thing they do in every department from R&D to support. And at the same time, fully engage the customers to play a simple game. And in the game, discover all of the changes and the events and the differences and the outcomes and the results that have occurred in their life as a result of using that company's product or service. We're so excited about this.
Oh, that's really cool. So right now people can access it, or is it just on a like more?
Absolutely. A- Absolutely. Yeah. They just go to proveyouриmpact.com and learn all about it. But yeah, organizations are now engaging in the ability to be able to give a simple gift to their customers or patients or beneficiaries, which is come play a game. Come join us on a journey of impact that will show you the impact that we've brought to your life. And the people play a game and they get prizes and rewards. And then the employees get prizes and rewards for all the impact that gets created. And everyone in the loop discovers how really important it is to use this product and service. It changes the game, especially in an up and down economy. When we're not sure what the economy is going to do, as customers, we end up saying, you know what, let me just find the cheapest product because I need to be careful about spending money right now, right? So I'm going to make sure that I buy something that basically does the same thing, but it costs less. And that's what they're looking for. When you prove to them and they prove to themselves by playing this game that the product they've been using has a tremendous level of importance and significance in their life, all of a sudden those extra pennies don't add up. What you want is what you trust, what you value, what you've learned happens when you use a product or service, whether it's skincare or healthcare, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're working with an organization that gives you something that you pay for, and you don't know how to prove whether its value is real, just because it does what it says it's going to do, is its value better than a competitor's value? And this answers the question for them.
Oh, that's yeah, that's definitely, and that's also in the same way with like building trust. When you have a trust in a product or a service and stuff over years, that makes
It's
sense.
amazing. It's especially if you've been using something for ever, right? If you're really loyal to something and a new product comes out, but you're not going to switch because you're so loyal. But then you switch and try it, and the next thing you discover, you get to play this game and find out what you're getting beyond the planned benefits. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, how could I be missing all of this all these years? I didn't even know that was possible. And it changes your work life and your home life and your happy life and your social life and your mental. It is amazing what products can do when you look at what's happening. But most of us, listen, we just buy the product, and if it does what it said it was going to do, fine. And then great things happen, but we don't make the connection to that product. We
That's
just live our lives. Now we have proof of what products do. That's never been done, and we're super excited.
That is very exciting. And I know you have also have the book that's out too. What kind of insight is included in the book? Can you kind of walk us through some of the things that we're going to read about?
You bet. So the book is What Matters Most: How Leaders Build Impassioned Engagement, Unrivaled Loyalty, and Boundless Growth by Measuring Real World Impact. The book itself reads like a novel. It has characters. It has people who talk to us. These are actually real people with hidden names of people who I've worked with through the years. But the book tells the story of how multiple people from different industries take the time, a lot of time, to measure their real world impact. And it teaches through these conversations the 5 components of real world impact and how, by showing those to customers and beneficiaries and patients, how allowing users, if you will, to recognize the impact they've received can definitely help their lives and often change their lives.
And you were mentioning too, this isn't just for the customers, but it's the employees too, like enriching their lives and changing their way they look at things.
Exactly. And the book shows real examples of those in real time of how employees react to, respond to, and benefit from each piece of the real world impact puzzle. So the 5 real world impact, the components in real world impact, knowing which areas are changing, seeing the impact ripples. Do you remember the metaphor of the pebble in the pond, right? So if you throw a pebble in a pond, it creates all these ripples. So if we follow that metaphor and we say, okay, every product is a pebble. And when you throw your pebble into someone's pond, ripples will appear. The question is, will your customer recognize those ripples and celebrate them? Will they want more ripples? What will happen when one ripple happens? Will another and another and another occur? And will all of that touch the different life areas, which is the next component of real world impact? And if it does, how important is it to you as a customer or a beneficiary or a patient? Do you know how to measure that importance? How do you even think about that? What is the significance of that? And what matters is when people start to realize not only do I love this product, but it is literally changing my life in like 12 different life areas. All these things happened only because I bought that product and used it. Is that possible? So then they start measuring the 5th component, which is causality. What caused what? Was it really the product or was it something else? And the book talks all about that and shows how people discover it and then provides how to do it in analog. So if people don't want the technology and they really wanted to do it themselves, what I have been doing in organizations for all these decades is now able to be done just by reading the book and teaching your employees and inviting your employees to join in measuring and capturing and getting the results and celebrating the results. If you don't have time to think about that, then the book also introduces the technology, which is, of course, now available.
Right. And now where can people find the book? Is it Amazon, the website?
Absolutely. It's everywhere. It's online, it's in bookstores. You can also just go to whatmattersmost.com. On that site, I have 4 gifts for everybody who goes to that site. And there's a lot of information there as well.
Oh, wonderful. I'm going to check that one out because I did browse like from your website and everything and just some of the articles, but I'm going to check that out. That sounds very interesting.
Cool. Yeah, it's fascinating. And it's so much um, fun, and more importantly, this passion that employees start to feel when they suddenly realize it. When I first started talking about this, I was doing a research study to make sure that employees would be interested in the tech and everything. And all of the posts about I hate my job, I hate my boss. I can't stand this commute one more minute. During COVID, it was huge, right? It's like, why should I risk my life just to go to this job I don't even like? All of these things that were going on, and my research study showed over and over again. But the thing that got me, there was this one post one day that said, I commute 2 hours both ways every day to a boss that makes me cry every day. And nothing I do matters Nothing I do matters. Why am I doing this? And that's when I realized, we really need to have a simple way to prove to employees that everything they do matters, and we can prove it.
That's true, to give them value or, feel valuable in their, organization and what they do. That's true.
Yeah, so many people talk about, I just want to make an impact. I just want to make a difference. I just want to make an impact. I'm just doing this job to make money, but after I get the money, then I'm going to do something that'll make a difference in people's lives. Well, go ahead, change your career, but at least know that you did make a difference internally and externally, not through touchy-feely seminars, which, by the way, I did all those seminars. So I can talk about it this way because I know. Touchy-feely, getting everybody excited and motivated and knowing they're making a difference in people's lives. And I love doing those seminars. It lasts for like a minute, right? You're out in the parking lot and then you're pissed again. So what's the point? Now you can have concrete proof that what you do matters, makes a difference. And this is the difference it makes. As you said earlier, game changer.
Okay, great. And so they can go to the website. So employees or even customers, whoever can go to use the platform or the technology as well.
Yeah. So the two sites to remember, right? Whatmattersmattersmost.com and proveyouриmpact.com. Either way, depending on what you need, you'll find it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for joining the Business Roundup, where we always try to bring you interviews with some of the leading people in business, whether it be technology, finance, or energy. I hope you tune in. I hope you subscribe and listen, and we'll give you updates for new interviews that are coming up. Until next time, I'm Melissa Bell.